Ready like Freddy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sully Squad. We got a lot to get into tonight. For the time of year, usually this is kind of a quiet time of year, but in some ways, but lots to get into. I mean, we had the Philadelphia Phillies having a National League Championship rematch against the Diamondbacks. Friday night didn't go too good because you had Taijuan Walker pitching, who absolutely blows. But the Phillies take the next two. Maybe Nick Castellanos has broken out of his year-long slump because he's been pretty good the last month if you look at his stats. And then, of course, we got, NBA draft coming up, all kinds of Sixers rumors going on. Paul George, is he coming? Are they interested? This time of year, you could take anything you read with a grain of salt. And I think the biggest news happened yesterday. Philadelphia Flyers had a major shot in the arm of their rebuild. Michkov is coming over this year.
Michkov time.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that maybe, when they drafted him, it'd be 2-3 years, and it's only been 1 year. So we'll, basically this week, I mean, we got, and of course we got Game 7 in NHL Finals tonight. There could be history made. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1942 came back from 3-0, but I mean, in the modern era, I mean, this would be a hell of a story if Edmonton could win this game tonight. So we're going to get into all that. I got my usual cast. I got my man Sean Kilrain right next to me. How you doing, Sean?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Chilling,
Good,
man. And
Good.
And then below Sean, I got my man Mr. 6 for 6, Diego the Hammer Bianchi. What's up, dog?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Showing.
Doing real good. First off, and another thing about the Phillies. Phillies took 2 out of 3, but they made a nice move, signing Christopher Sanchez for a few extra years. I mean, I think the total amount of his contract is like $20 or $29 million. So like,
I thought it was like 22 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a friendly deal,
4 years,
So.
22 and a half?
Yeah.
Four.
That's extremely team friendly, and like like we were saying, I mean, he's having a great
Sanchez,
year.
Sanchez hasn't given up a home run in 59 appearances.
59 innings.
59 innings.
Yeah,
It's pretty crazy. 2.75 ERA, second in the major leagues. I mean, if he keeps that up, you just got to steal for that price.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
And then I was reading that supposedly they're working on an extension with Ranger Suarez too. So I mean, you look at this Phillies pitching rotation. I mean, if they lock Suarez up, I mean, you could have Wheeler locked up for 2 more years, Nola's locked up for 6 more years. Christopher Sanchez locked up, I think, through 28 or 29, something like that.
Yeah.
And then if you could get Suarez on a long-term deal, and then you got Painter. We'll see what happens with Painter coming off the Tommy John, but he was one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball. I mean, that's you're going forward with 5 legit starters for at least the next 2 years. I mean, this not only is this Phillies team set up to win this year, but they're set up for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Solidifying your starting rotation is the hardest thing in this league.
It's basically
if you get that locked up now, you got 4 years of all these guys. You're ready to go and compete for a chip for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, got a comment here. Dave Yarnell. He says, hey, what's going on, Sully Squad? I'm having bathtub issues. Water is backed up. Oh, I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry to hear that, Dave. It sounds like we're doing better than you are, bro. But hopefully.
Thanks for tuning in with your problem.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I hope you don't got to take a shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a rough. Yeah, I was going to say, that's a rough one, bro.
Oh man.
Speaking of taking a shit, because I want to get into the Philly sports scene, but Florida Panthers. I mean, we got a huge Game 7 of the NHL Finals tonight, and you want to talk about a team that's really taking a shit? It's the Florida Panthers. I mean, blowing a 3-0 lead. What's your gut feelings on tonight's game? I mean, is Edmonton going to pull off history? And from what I saw on Twitter, it looks like it's like half of Edmonton in those Florida bars. It looks like a lot of Oilers fans are down there. Diego, I'll start with you because I think we touched on this earlier today at work. What's your gut feeling about this game tonight?
He's speechless.
My gut feeling is they got everybody excited for no reason. I think Florida beats them tonight. I think Florida's the better overall team. I also think it matters who scores first tonight. Because if Edmonton comes out and scores first, they really strike some fear into that arena, into behind them. Everyone might be like, "Fuck! Now we got to dig ourselves out of this hole."
Yeah, I agree. I think whoever scores first, especially if Edmonton scores first. I mean, if Edmonton scores first, I think all those Florida players, first off, the anxiety in the crowd. Although, like I said, I think there'll be a lot of Oilers fans there, but the anxiety of the crowd of the Florida fans, and those players are going to be squeezing that stick like crazy. I mean, they'll be squeezing that stick more than Jason Biggs was squeezing his Johnson when Nadia was in the room. You know what I'm saying? American Pie. That's how that. You know what I mean? They're going to be squeezing the stick like crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sean, what's your thoughts, bro?
Edmonton. I just like the way Conor McGregor's playing. He's something special.
Conor McGregor spider.
Conor McDavid. That's it, Conor McGregor? Yeah, man. Conor McDavid. Yeah, you know what it is. I got yeah. Anyway.
You know what's funny?
We got from the bathroom.
Had to fuck your balls.
Yeah, I love it.
Dude,
Conor McDavid, baby.
Someone's getting knocked the fuck out tonight.
Yes. But yeah, just Edmonton, just with that line, and I see them just execute, all good things come to an end,
Yeah.
So Edmonton in my eyes.
Yeah, Paul Spencer says Edmonton tonight. Oilers have been banking me out the last 3. Got to ride with them. Yeah. I hope you're right, Paul. I want to see history, and it means more to Canada. I mean, I know there's some. Yeah. I know there's some diehard Florida fans down there. Is there? They probably got. What's that?
Is there some diehard Florida Panthers fans out there?
Well, they probably the ones that they probably have like maybe 10 to 15,000. They don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got like 10. They got like 10. They got the Panthers.
Yeah,
yes, he does.
T-Rex W says McGregor has a wicked slap shot.
That's my boy.
Paul Spencer says Sean is on the wrong show. The UFC show was on at 8:30 tonight inside the Octagon. Conor McGregor. Yeah. Make sure any UFC fans out there, make sure you tune in. Tune in 8:30 tonight. Check out my man Paul Spencer. He's going to have inside the Octagon. So
And I'm going to have some inside sights with Conor McGregor. So tune in.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny when you said Conor McGregor. I was thinking First Take this week. It was funny as shit. It popped up on X, and it was Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp talking about hockey. And that's what I was just thinking. That's what I was just thinking when you said Conor McGregor. I'm like, yo, the Sully Squad's like Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp talking about that hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
you gotta love it.
I like so I'm rooting hard, Edmonton. Unfortunately, I'm kind of with Diego. I'm rooting hard Edmonton, but I actually like Florida tonight. I think sometimes, like like Edmonton had to break their balls so bad to tie this series.
Yeah.
And it's only human nature to maybe, let up a little bit. Like they won't purposely let up, but it's kind of like they'll take a sigh and be like, we're even. You know what I mean? And then you got Florida. Then you got Florida out there like, yo, man, we can't blow this joint. It's going to be like the biggest choke of all time. You know what I'm saying?
I know they're home, but just like Paul said, I'm going to ride with them.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Florida, but I honestly took Edmonton just to root for them.
Yeah, I'm rooting Edmonton. I mean, and I'm a guy. Listen, I've never liked Edmonton because the first year I ever watched hockey was the year Edmonton beat the Flyers in Game 7. 87. You know what I'm saying? But I don't like Florida either because I remember '96 the Flyers had the number one seed with Eric Lindros, and Florida and Ed Jovanovski and John Van Beesbrook stood on his head, and they beat the Flyers in the second round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, the Flyers signed fucking Van Beesbrook, and he sucked ass. You know what I mean? He was great
something, man.
for us, and he fucking blew for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's that. But you know what though? Let's get into a little bit of since we're speaking of hockey, biggest Flyers news in years. Flyers. Mitchkov is coming. I mean, this is probably the best prospect they've had. Since Eric Lindros? I mean,
So what you're saying? You said earlier, 92.
Yeah,
91,
that's
92,
22 years.
32 years.
32 years. Sheesh, 32 years. That's like I'm 34. It's the biggest. He's the biggest prospect of my life.
Yeah, you were shitting your diaper the last time they had a fucking prospect like this, bro.
Yeah, and then by the time I started coming out of it, dude, I had 42 concussions.
Yeah.
So that was short-lived, but I mean, you can't get bigger than this kid coming over. Like the stuff I've seen him do, I've never seen a Flyer do. I know it's in a different league and a lesser league, but the kid looks like his potential is crazy.
Yeah, and T-Rex W with a comment here. He says, let's hope the hype is real with Mitchkov. I mean, certainly hope so. And, I mean, the kid looks like he's got all the skill. I mean, you watch his highlights and the way he, and again, I mean, obviously Eric Lindros was a great player, but like this guy's like a totally different style of Flyers player than maybe we've ever really seen. I mean, think about it. All the Flyers greats, Lindros was a power forward. LeClaire was a power forward. Like guys like Bobby Clark back in the day, and even like a Tim Kerr and a Brian Propp. Like Flyers always had like the Canadian like power forward type dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is like, this kid's like could be like a young Ovechkin. I mean, you know what I mean? All of a sudden the Flyers. I mean, they've never had a Russian kid like this. You know what I'm saying? So
size, speed, weight, skill, just an all-around skill set.
Now, question: does this kid coming over? Should the Flyers' mindset change? So do you go from full out rebuild to try to sign some players now to possibly compete with this kid? You have two strong lines bringing this kid over. What do you think?
So here's the problem. The Flyers are capped. The Flyers are in cap hell. The Flyers are like right up against the salary cap, which is going to hurt them. But to answer your question, I kind of think maybe you could do a little bit of both. Now you're looking right now. The Flyers got the 12th pick, and possibly the 32nd pick, depending, or the third. Depending on. It's going to either be the last pick of the first round or the second to last pick of the first round because the Flyers hold Florida's pick. Now, here's a thought. Maybe you do a mixture of each. Like for instance, like you have a young forward like a Joel Farabee. Now, Joel Farabee is a good young forward, but he makes a decent amount of money. Maybe the Flyers possibly trade a Farabee and possibly, maybe a guy like Lawton's possibly available, but you go and you get yourself a young center like the kid from Anaheim, Zegras, the center. He's only he's only like 23 years old, you know, or the guy from Carolina. I think his name's Nekra or Nekris. I don't know, dude. I butcher these hockey names, but there's a center from Carolina that's relatively young. I think he's like 25 or 26. So maybe maybe you kind of mix it up. Like, I don't see the Flyers spending money on any like veteran, but if you could get a young guy that's like in his prime that could be a center and maybe center, because the Flyers are pretty strong on wing. I mean, you got Tippett, you got Konechny if you don't trade him, and then you got Forrester, and now you're going to have Michkov. So the Flyers, if you look, their top two lines wings are actually really looking good.
Very talented, yeah.
But what they need is they need center iceman, and they need and here, hang on, Bob corrected me here. I got a comment. Bob Hartnett says that's the guy from Carolina. Bob has an answer here. He says they can't sign players. They're in cap hell. I wouldn't abandon the rebuild. Let it take its course. I'm right with Bob. Let the rebuild take its course, but I don't think you.
I mean, dude, let the rebuild take its course. But you just got LeBron James to your team,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like Cleveland Cavaliers were in rebuild. They drafted LeBron James. That's it. Mentality starts to change. Yeah, we're not going to win it this year, but our mentality has to go from rebuild to now win.
Right. But it's hard to do that when you don't have cap. Now, like I said, if I would have no problem trading future picks for a guy that's like 23 to 25 years old. Like get guys that'll grow with this guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if they do something like that, I think you're trying to win now, but you're also staying with the rebuild because you're getting a young guy.
Right.
T-Rex W says, I read somewhere that Konechny is trade bait. I hope they don't get rid of him.
I'm back and forth with Konechny because I feel like Michkov and Konechny on one line could be crazy too. And if they can find a real center to play with them two guys, that's like a line that is like one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and T-Rex W says they need to dump Atkinson.
Yeah.
What's your perspective, Sean? What do you think? Like, what do you think? How do you?
I mean, just stay with what we have. You got a lot of talented players, like you said, Tippett, Forrester. Roll with it. You got the young Russian goaltender now, which he's 6'8".
Yeah, he's huge. He's like Harold Carmichael.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of promise, like you guys hit on. Just roll with that. And then as the season goes on, we'll see what the future holds. But this guy Michkov, he is that diamond in the rough, that stud that you can build upon, which I'm looking forward to because we haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. Bob Hornet says, I want them to do it right, be able to maintain consistency in competing for a cup. Not only that, they are several pieces away from contending, especially the goalie position. Can Urson be that guy? I see Bob's point. I don't think they're as far away as we're thinking. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're that far. We're competing for a playoff spot this year.
Well, Bob, Bob and I were talking about it kind of earlier, and like here's the thing: like you're already strong at the wing. The Flyers need at least one. They need a number one defenseman and a good. They need a couple defensemen. They need a really bona fide number one center, and then the question at the goal. So I mean, if you're looking for goals for the Flyers, like I think this coming year the goal should be, hey, let's make the playoffs, right? Like this coming year, make the playoffs. Then after this year, some money comes off the books. Like I think Atkinson's contract comes off the books. Maybe even though we like him, maybe you trade a Lawton because he makes like $3-4 million. Maybe you trade a Farabee who makes like 4 or 5. You know what I mean? And you get off of some of those deals, and then maybe next offseason or the following offseason, you add another guy, in free agency, and then next year you win a round or two in the playoffs, and then the following year you're ready to win, and you're ready to win consistently.
Yep,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's. I mean, Hey, it's a good problem to have because I mean, we all thought that maybe this kid either A was never going to come over or B, it would be like another 2 years. So just the fact that he's coming over, you know what I mean? That it adds something. Let's see. Bob Hornet says can't let this year throw the rebuild off. It needs to be done right. They did this in the past with the hybrid rebuild stuff and it didn't work. Yeah, that is the thing. I mean, that is the thing.
But there's no hybrid rebuild here. Look at the core players in this team right now. Morgan Falls, Travis Konechny, Tippett, now Mitchkov, Farabee. That's a young nucleus of players. Yeah, you're stuck with a guy like Coots. Atkinson's contract be up over the past this year. Like things are going to clear up. They're going to clear up pretty quick for the Flyers. They're not that old.
Right.
Ersan's young. That Russian dude they got playing just came over. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have his first real year in the league. Like I don't think they're as old and as not ready to win as we think. Like they're young players. And Forrester's really young. I'm sure they have a couple guys in the minors that are almost ready to be up here.
Yeah, well, I mean, here, Bob Hornet's got another comment. They can still compete, make the playoffs, but if we're talking about truly contending, it will be 2 years, maybe 3. I can see that.
I agree. We were thinking 2 years till Mitchkov got over here. Then he has to get acclimated. So really, we're thinking before Mitchkov comes over, 4 years before we win. This speeds the process up a year and a half.
Yeah. T-Rex W. I'm with T-Rex W here. He says we have a decent core, need to add a few pieces, and we'll be good to go. Yeah, that's kind of my point. Like
I agree.
Like I would like
100%.
I would like to draft a guy at number 12. But let's just play devil's advocate here. You tell me I have to give up. Say I got to give up the 12th pick and like a future second or a future couple seconds and maybe like a Farabee or something, but I could get a really good young centerman like that,
Zegras
or the guy from Carolina to be my centerman. I'm doing that because then I don't think a move like that takes away from the rebuild because you're getting a guy that's already NHL ready, that's young enough to play with this score. You're
trying to make us
grow together. So I'm cool with that.
If it's going to make the core better, like you guys said, do it. Whatever works.
Because here's the other thing too. like I said, I get what Bob's saying. Like you don't want to mess the rebuild up, but you're also really strong in the win, and your centermen are what you got: Frost, Couturier, and you got Prolib, the guy that begins with a P. Prolor, I think he says. Or Proling, whatever.
It's Paling, I think.
Yeah. But the bottom line is though, if you want to get if you want to get the best out of your wingers, you need a playmaking center. You know what I mean? So I think that's the goal. Get a young playmaking center, and then you kind of get the best out of these guys.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. And hang on, I got a couple more comments here. Shame at Bob Hartnett. Shame about Coops. Just doesn't look nearly the same after the back surgery. I know.
That'll make
You know what though? Yeah, he did it. It was his first year back from that back injury. Sometimes that takes a long time. You got to hit the gym. You got to strengthen the muscles back. You got to get your stamina back. Like Coots might work really, really hard in this offseason and be back in not bad shape.
Yeah, Dave Yornell says, success, guys. I fixed it. Thank you, Mr. Plunger. By the way, Edmonton wins it, the cup tonight. See ya. All right, see ya, Dave.
See
ya. Mix a brand muffin in there at times. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just playing. Remember that? What was that? What was that movie? What was that movie? Oh, no, it was Austin Powers. Remember Austin Powers? Like, who's number 2 work for?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like squirming in the bathroom, remember? T-Rex W says, I think Coots isn't happy playing under Torts.
Well, he has no choice because his contract's too big to get rid of. So he's stuck playing here for whoever's here.
Bob Hornet says, very true, Diego. We will see this year. Maybe he will be buzzing like years past. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Coots is signed for like 4 or 5, like what, 5 more years, something
I
like
think
that.
it's 5 more years. I like a high ass price tag too.
Yeah.
It's a shame too, because at the time they signed him, he was coming off a few really good years, and it was pre back problems, and to be honest, it actually looked like it was going to be a bargain. You know what I mean? Because you were getting him. I mean, he does make pretty big money, but I think he makes like maybe $6 million a year or something like that. So you thought,
Right.
okay, hey, if for a number one centerman that's also great defensively, that's good money. But unfortunately, he wound up getting hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Rex W says, yes, we have Coots for 4 more, I think. So, yeah, that's a tough one. But anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, interesting week. You got the big, of course, Michkov coming over. That's going to be huge. And then, we'll see who the Flyers pick. I mean, there's also rumors out there that they might trade up with Ottawa. Like, the 7th pick is in play, or possibly one of their defensemen, maybe a Shane Pinto. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting week,
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, but there's another interesting thing coming up. We got the Philadelphia 76ers coming up. We got the NBA draft is actually in 2 nights. All kinds of Sixers rumors going around. I mean, is Paul George? Last week, Diego, you and I talked about this. Like, you can't believe everything you read. Like, Shams is out there saying the Sixers' interest in Paul George is waned. And now there's reports saying that could be bullshit. I mean, there's so much misinformation going around this time of year. But let's focus on the draft. Sixers got the 16th pick. A lot of things could happen on draft night. Do you think that they're going to pick a player or make a trade? I'll start with you, Diego. What do you think?
I think that pick's gone. I mean, obviously, sometimes you have no choice but to make the pick. But I don't think that's the Sixers' train of thought. The Sixers' train of thought is, I feel like, is let's use this pick to get somebody in here. I mean, if it don't work out, it don't work out. You pick at 16. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. They got to get something in here. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't really believe anything this time of year. Like you said, one guy saying one thing and you're reading other shit. So, yeah, we'll see. What do you think, Sean?
I think we're going to trade that pick, to kind of get some player or players. But, yeah, I don't see us staying with it. Somebody's going to end up calling us for it. That's my idea.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be something that, or it could be something maybe, is there a possibility maybe, like well, see, here's the problem. See, I don't know exactly how it works for trades. Like, if you have to consummate a trade on draft night, you know what I'm saying? Or could they pick a player for another team? Like, for instance, like maybe a sign and trade, like, Tobias Harris, maybe you sign Tobias Harris in a not necessarily draft night. I'm saying,
I know what you mean.
So maybe like Tobias Harris and whoever you pick to like New Orleans for like a Brandon Ingram. You know what I mean? Or
right.
Or, who's the guy we were reading about? There was a couple of reports. New Orleans has a young forward out there.
Marshall.
Yeah, Najee Marshall.
It says a lot of teams are interested in him now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
see, that's the thing. When you have these role players that contending teams feel like can make a difference on their team, people that have more are willing to, like, there's a lot of teams that are willing to offer a lot. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody feels like they need a more, like the Lakers or something like that, and they can give more, they will. Like the kid, like the dude you were saying for the in hockey, Seagrass, they said there's eight teams interested in him.
Right.
Like, that's going to be a tough one to get.
Yeah, but the Flyers do have a lot to offer. I mean, the Flyers have a young forward in Farabee, and the Flyers have a lot of picks. So if you're the Flyers, Zegras was picked 9th overall a few years ago. You could offer Farabee, Florida's pick and maybe a future first, and maybe
Right.
Anaheim.
Yeah. I'm just saying, when a player draws a lot of interest, they're going to have a lot of offers.
Yeah, see, one of the problems the Sixers have is the Sixers don't have any players. I mean, the Sixers have all this money, but they don't have any players. I mean, we the only guys we have signed, the only guys we technically have signed, I think, are Joel Embiid, Ricky Council Jr., and then Paul Reed. Obviously you're gonna sign Maxey. You know what I'm saying? But
they said Kyle Lowry wants to stay here.
Yeah. So Kyle Lowry probably be back. I think Lowry probably be back. Maybe Batum will be back. Oubre's probably going to go. I don't see Oubre. I think somebody's going to pay Oubre. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I was going to say. The dude earned it. So give him this pat. Even though everybody likes to stay in Philly, but that's not always the case. Money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of getting paid, before we get out of here, if anybody out there gets hurt on the job, my man, this guy right here will get you paid. My man, Attorney Big Al, or Jason Fine, a.k.a. Attorney Big Al, motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or personal injury claims. He's got 3 offices throughout Pennsylvania, New Jersey. He's got 1 in Philadelphia, PA, 1 in Cherry Hill, 1 in Pittsburgh. And, we could talk till we're blue in the face on who the Sixers, who we want the Sixers to get, what we want them to do. But, the Sixers' number one biggest problem is the fact that their best player is always hurt. I mean, Christ, he needs to call Jason Fine, a.k.a., he needs to call Jason Fine like every friggin' year. You know what I mean? He's a injury. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, well, listen. So we talked about the pick. I got to admit, there's really nobody out there in the draft that that I'm like that. None of these prospects really. I mean, it's kind of a weak draft. I mean, there really isn't any prospect out there that I look at and I'm like, oh boy, I'd love to add this guy. I mean, there's a point guard from USC who was a high recruit. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Let me see if I can find.
Ronnie James.
No, not him. Hang on, I'll find him. USC point guard. Let me see if I can find him. Isaiah Collier.
Yeah.
Here's the guy. Isaiah Kyler. I was on X yesterday, and some people were talking about he may if he slides a little bit, he could possibly be a guy that the Sixers might take. He was a top recruit. He's 6'5", 210, plays the point. He's a good playmaker, good on defense, not the greatest shooter, but he might be a decent fit with Maxey because he's 6'5", you know what I mean? I think you need a guard that has a little bit of size to play with Tyrese because Tyrese isn't the biggest guy. You know what I'm saying?
I think he needs a little bit, add more weight, man. 210 is a little right on the frail side. You know what I mean?
Well, once you get him in the league, you put some weight on him. You get him in a weight. You get him lifting weights. You get him in your building. I think he could put some weight on. You know what I'm saying? He's a young kid. He's only 19 years old.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
Get him at 23, 22, 23 years old in the league a few years. Maybe you get him in there to develop a shot. You might have something.
Absolutely.
So, but we'll see though. I mean, next week, when we're on next week, it'll be really interesting because NBA, the draft would have come, NBA free agency will start, and who knows? Paul George could even have opted into his contract and been traded by then. So
yeah,
goes, yeah. But all right, so we'll get into that more next week. I got to wrap it up a little early because I got Joey. I got Joey signed up for some flag football, so he's got a game coming up. Before we do, I just want to get predictions on the Phils for this coming week because I know we touched on the Arizona series. This particular week, they got 3 in Detroit, and then Miami Marlins come here for 4.
Four.
So how are the Phillies looking? How how are the Phillies looking in these next 7 before we come back next week?
5-2.
5-2.
5-2.
5-2. All right. Damn, boy, you guys. You know what? 5-2. Let's think. Yeah, I think I'm going to go there too, especially considering you got Castellanos. You know, you got Castellanos swinging a good bat right now.
I'm gonna keep talking that crap on him too.
What's that?
I'm gonna keep on talking that shit on him. Every time I do, he shows up.
Yeah. So, all right. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. So like I said, it's a little bit of an abbreviated show tonight. But you know, I'm going to say go Oilers. I think we're all rooting. Is everybody rooting for Edmonton?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So go Oilers. Let's hope the Phils get a dub tonight. Go Daryl Morey. I don't know. I hope I find a way to do something, bro. Because I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't want to see them kick the can down the lane any further. I'm not interested in 1-year deals and them trying to sell us future stock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Hang on. Got one more comment before we get out of here. T-Rex W says F Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So he's on point. And then and then we'll see what the Flyers do. It's going to be a really interesting week, and we'll have a lot more to talk about next week. So go Oilers, go Phillies, go Sixers, go Flyers,
Go
and
Oilers and Conor McGregor. I mean Nate McDaniel.
yeah. Hey, you know what? If nothing else, Conor McGregor will, you know, they may lose the hockey game, but he'll beat somebody's ass. You know what I'm saying?
You know it.
Yeah. Although Conor's hurt, he's not beating anybody's ass right now.
Yeah.
Didn't he just get out of that fight?
He broke his toe.
Well, he doesn't need a toe to beat somebody's ass in hockey. I mean, he could just hit somebody standing, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, all right, guys. Well, look, we'll see everybody. We'll wrap to you next week, and go Oilers.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Go Oilers. Peace, guys.